Mapping History, War and Heritage at FASoS. A normal Monday for students at the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences starts with a lecture in the turnstile. During the break, we walk to Banditos for a coffee and a cookie. Between the lecture and tutorial, we chat or study with friends. While all doing this, we are walking past centuries of hidden history without knowing the stories the walls of the faculty hold. Did you ever think about the people that lived and worked in these buildings before it became a university? The Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences of Maastricht University is located in historical buildings in the city center. This project uses digital storytelling and archival materials to make the unknown history of the faculty heard again. While using the digital map to navigate between the following pages, you'll discover the stories of the people who have lived, worked, and studied at Grootgrond across 5 centuries. These individuals are connected through a thread that binds the stories together, the shadow of violence and conflict that has touched each era. From noble families to children born in violent times, from architects to student protests, the people who were in FASoS before us have all been shaped by war. These walls bear witness to this truth. This project was created within the honors program at FASoS in collaboration with TRACE, the Limburg Society Archive. Please feel free to explore the website and stories about FASoS.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Let me first introduce myself. I am Anna Antoinetta d'Aspremont-Linden, Countess of Tilly, born the Countess of Aspremont-Reckheim and the Canoness of Münster-Bilzen. I was born in 1655, and in 1682 I married my husband, Claude Frédéric Serclas, the Count of Tilly. Ah, mon chéri, as I speak, I am leaving the Sint Servatius Basilica. I went to salute my husband's grave. When he died in 1723, he was buried in the main nave of the basilica, and we placed a beautiful epitaph there. My poor husband. In 1718, he became the military governor of Maastricht. This was really a quiet retirement after an exciting career. He fought in so many wars, first for the French, then for the Spanish, but most of the time for the States General of the Netherlands. Oui, there is my carriage. It's the most beautiful one I have. It's only a short drive, but now we have arrived at our Grand Maison, Tilly's Court. As you can see from the stone above the gate, it was completed in 1714. I already owned some property here, but my husband Claude had bought additional land and had this beautiful palace built. In the courtyard, I step out. Do you also see the fountain with the Poseidon and Amphitrite relief, where the horses can drink from the fountain? This refers to my marriage to the Count of Tilly. My husband was very combative. Just as Poseidon roamed the oceans, so the Count of Tilly roamed the European battlefields and wars. Walk in with me. I enter the main hall, the salle à deux balcons, and look outside. I think Tilly's Court is really beautiful, but I'm worried about its future. My nephew, Charles Gobert d'Aspremont-Reckheim, will inherit La Grande Maison. I'm working on a will that will give him concrete instructions on how to maintain the house. This way, I hope Tilly's Court can continue to exist in all its glory until eternity.
My name is Matthias Sparron, and I was born in Maastricht on January the 29th in 1748. I come from a family of architects and builders that helped to defend the city of Maastricht through walls and fortifications. My father, Mathieu Soiron, was a master builder, and from him and my family background, I inherited both skill and passion for architecture. Throughout my life, I dedicated myself to designing and decorating structures in and around Maastricht, embracing the styles of Baroque, Empire, and specifically the Louis XVI style. In 1785, my brothers Andreas Joseph, also known as André, and Wilhelmus Martinus, also known as Guillaume, both canons of the chapter of St. Servatius, acquired a dilapidated property at Grotegracht 82. They entrusted me, then serving as the city architect of Maastricht, with designing a new residence. a city palace that would reflect their ecclesiastical stature and the grandeur of our family. The result was FASoS, a testament to late classicist architecture featuring a stately facade adorned with Ionic pilasters and a crowning pediment. Inside, the residence boasted lavish stucco work in the Louis XVI style, with decorative elements inspired by the ancient villas of Pompeii and Herculaneum. However, the tides of history soon turned. In 1794, French revolutionary forces captured Maastricht, leading to the dissolution of the chapter of Saint Servatius in 1797. My brothers, steadfast in their beliefs, refused to take the oath of hatred against kingship and anarchy demanded by the French authorities. As a consequence, they faced exile to the punitive colony of Cayenne in French Guiana. Fortunately, intervention by Charles Clement Roemers, a French-aligned lawyer, spared them from this fate, allowing them instead to serve their sentence in Compiègne. Following the Concordat of 1801, they returned to Maastricht, only to find that FASoS had passed into other hands.
I'm Maria Elizabeth Helena Liberty Krausen, known to many as Mariette, born on September 13, 1944 in the basement of the former Jeanne d'Arc College at Grotegracht 76. This place was a temporary maternity ward set up by the Red Cross during the final days of World War II in Maastricht. As I was about to enter the world, the city was on edge, full of uncertainty and fear. As Maastricht awaited the arrival of Allied forces, this building, once a Catholic school for girls, was where the Red Cross provided essential care. My mother, close to giving birth, sought refuge in this temporary sanctuary. It was there, in the college's cellar, that I took my first breath. The liberation of Maastricht followed little after, on September 14, 1944, just one day after my birth. My parents named me Liberty, as testament to the moment I was born into. One of the American soldiers that had entered the city shortly after my birth signed my birth card. That signature, a simple gesture, symbolized not only his and my arrival, but also marked a turning point for our city and its people. When I turned 20, I went back to that cellar for the first time. It had already become a bicycle shed by then, practical, quiet, and a bit forgotten. A small relief sculpture and a plaque were the only reminders of what had happened there in the last days of war. It was a strange feeling, standing there after all of those years. I didn't remember the place, of course, but somehow being there made everything more real. I imagined my mother, tired and frightened, holding me for the first time, just as the sounds of war gave way to the first signs of freedom. Over the years, I have come to understand that I carry a piece of history with me, born in the shadow of war, in a city close to liberation. My name, Liberty, representing the feeling of hope that people must have felt in that moment.
The following recording consists of excerpts from an interview conducted with Professor Dr. Esther Versluis on May 22, 2025. She was a student at FASoS between 1993 and 1998 and has been back as a faculty member since 2001. In the first section, she will introduce herself. Then she will talk about the previous and current buildings that FASoS occupied. And lastly, she will make the link with the theme of war, which is the connecting theme throughout this project.
So my name is Esther. The first time I came to FASoS is a really long time ago. That was in '93 when I started as a first-year student. Mm-hmm. The program Arts and Culture only just started. It started in '91. So I was the third cohort to actually start studying here at FASoS in Maastricht. It was one program of 4 years that we then had in Dutch, which was called Cultuur- en Wetenschapsstudies. And now I'm a professor of European Regulatory Governance and head of the politics department. So we had the building in the Kapoenstraat. which is now, I think, belonging to the law faculty. And that was before it was really nicely renovated. We just had that building, and because the faculty basically consisted of only this one program, it was a relatively small faculty, and really everybody knew each other. It was a really nice building, but back then it was also a really old building.
In 2003, FASoS moved to Grote Gracht, but at the time, less buildings were part of the faculty than now.
Yeah, we started with only the main building, indeed. Because we already started European studies then, so we grew relatively quickly then from the start of European studies onwards. I also still very well remember we had a really nice party when we left the Kapoenstraat. It felt sad, but we were also excited to move to a new building. I remember many events where staff and students would bring their own food and just get together. So it was a really, as I said before, a bit of a family vibe going on.
We also asked Esther if there was any connection to the theme of war. For example, if during her time as a student there were any protests taking place.
In my 5 years, there has not been a single protest. No, no, and also not when I started working here later. Also, this was really not the case. It was really a different time, right? It was, the end of the Cold War. Sure, there were things happening in the world, but nothing felt very closely related to us. Of course, I think of all programs that were back then offered in Maastricht, arts and culture is the closest related to, discussing societally relevant issues. And I think, the word didn't exist back then, but these students definitely were the most woke compared to any of the other students. We really thought we were different. We had very intense discussions about things, but not so much related to conflicts going on in the world. So, really, they were different times. I think the type of conflicts that were there didn't feel close to home, and students didn't feel so much connected like students feel nowadays.
Since I've been a kid, the colonialism and imperialism that's taking place in Palestine has not been kept a secret. My parents would talk about it, my mom especially, because of the closeness of Palestinian culture to my culture and backgrounds. To see that this pattern repeats in my own country makes me relate more. I didn't have to wait to meet actual Palestinians to humanize them because we all share a similar story. When I came to Maastricht, the whole movement was already familiar, so I thought I should take a step further and maybe do concrete actions by myself. The first day of the encampment was really, really stressful. We didn't know what was going on. We could feel the stress and the disappointment from the outside. We knew what could happen to us, but our community was there. 76S, the Global Studies building, became one of the buildings that connected the protest in ways I didn't expect. Ironically, at the walkouts, somehow always the loudest moments at FASoS happened there, despite the fact that I don't like the philosophy of global studies. When the weather got worse, the hunger strikers were physically weak, and when people started to get sick, we moved into the 76 building. It was the only place where we could go to pee and brush our teeth. The garden was the heart of the encampment. On its bookshelves is where candles and photographs of martyrs were placed. At the far end, campers would gather to eat out of respect for the hunger strikers. On the picnic tables, various workshops were hosted, and many assembled under the tree in the garden. When the police came, it was really scary. We were already tired, physically and mentally. Seeing the big cars and a drone, I remember panicking for my friends that were still inside the encampment. Everything that happened on the political, social, and personal levels feel like a fever dream now. There was a lot of anger and sadness when the encampment ended the way it did. I cannot bring myself to be on campus anymore. Despite everything, this big tree, I do really love it still, as some of the cutest, nicest, and most powerful moments happened there.